Before we continue with today's session, it is so important that we do an acknowledgement of traditional lands. Royal Roads University acknowledges that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Kosatsan and Lekwungen ancestors and families. It is with gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, the present, and the future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. Welcome. I'm currently tuning in from campus today, and it is a beautiful overcast day. After this webinar, I'm going to go for a walk along the grounds, go down by the water, see the ocean. It's truly, truly a beautiful day. And to make sure everybody is in the right room today, we are going to be talking about the MBA in Executive Management. And with me today, I have Dr. Charles Krusekopf, who's the program head. My name is Emara Angus. I'm an education specialist. We also have Tracy Summers with us. She'll be monitoring the chat and answering questions through the chat, and she is an enrollment advisor. And the agenda for today, welcome and get to know one another. Actually, that's a perfect time for a really quick poll. So I'm going to welcome everybody to look up at their screen. I'm launching a poll right now, and it's because we want to get to know you a bit better. So we want to know what you're wanting to learn at today's session. So if you look at your screen here, you should be able to complete the poll. And some of the questions that we're asking are, what info are you hoping to learn at today's session? And select all that apply. So what the MBA program is all about, more about the Royal Roads University experience, including residencies, if it's the right program for me, find more about info on the admission requirements, learn more about the application process, and the intensity and expectations of the program. And there's one option of not sure yet. Okay, we'll give it a moment more, and it looks like we have people all over the board with what they're hoping to learn about today. The good news is we're hoping to cover all of that, so stay tuned. I'm going to share the results so you can see what other people in the room are feeling, wanting to learn about too. Great. We're also going to go through a brief overview of the Royal Roads University experience. We're going to go through program information. We're going to touch on the application process and requirements and questions answered throughout. So feel welcome at any point to pop your questions in the chat, and let's keep going. So as I mentioned, we're located in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. We are on Vancouver Island. The largest nearest cities are Vancouver and Seattle, and those are just a ferry ride away. And the top 3 industries in Victoria are advanced technology, tourism and hospitality, and education. And we're one of the mildest climates in Canada. Unlike the person who is in Hungary, where it's positive 15 degrees today, we usually sit around 6 degrees in the winter, but we do go up to 25 in the summer. And you can go for hikes and walks and bike rides, and even go surfing if you drive a few hours away. So we have lots to do on Vancouver Island here. So here are some images of our space. The top left, you'll see a castle. That is Hatley Castle. We actually have a real castle on campus. And you might even recognize this castle from movies such as Deadpool and X-Men, which were both filmed on campus. We have a beautiful garden that you can walk around during your breaks, because you will be coming to campus for a residency. So you will be able to explore the gardens during your break. That's the top right image there. The bottom left is an image of the Esquimalt Lagoon, which I will be walking down to after the session today. It's really a beautiful place to look out into the ocean. And the bottom right image is just to demonstrate that we have been teaching and learning online for over 25 years. So you might be wondering why explore Royal Roads University. So here at Royal Roads University, we see life as a qualification. We're going to dive into that a bit deeper later on in the session, where we talk about both standard and flexible admission. But we do understand that every single individual in the room today is joining us from a different background and has different work experience and different goals in their life. And here at Royal Roads, we really get to know you quickly. The profs know your name fast, and we have a small cohort model. So when I say cohort, I mean the group of students that you'll be going through the program with. And we like to keep the class sizes small so you can really work together and get to know the people you're with, and you'll be building networks for the rest of your life. And at Royal Roads, learning is really based on life. There's not that division between theory and practice. It's integrated. So the things that you're learning in the classroom, you're able to apply in the real world into the organization that you work for the very next day. We were really built differently from day one. We're also a Changemaker campus. So we're a Ashoka U Changemaker campus. And what that means is we are really believe in supporting our students and empowering our students to make positive change in the world. And now with that, I welcome up Dr. Charles Krusekopf, who will be talking more about program structure.
Hello, thank you, Emara, and hello to everyone out there. And good to sort of check in with everyone. And please do, post up any questions you have in the chat as we go. We'll try to pick them up, and I'll try to pick them up in my conversation. One of the things, so we've just had 2 of our residencies on campus. So I'll try to talk a bit more about that. But looking at those gardens, we just had a really amazing tour, and I think it is something to that is special about Royal Roads in terms of you come for a residency. So we have 2 residencies in the program, one fairly early on in the program for 2 weeks, and then one towards the end of the program for 2 weeks, where you really get a chance to get to know your cohort. So we're a cohort-based program where you come in with a group of students, and then you move through the courses in the program with that group of students. So in this residency, like we just had the residency 1, the students had been online for several weeks before, and then they came to campus, got to know each other. Now when they move, they finished up on Friday. When they move into the online portion, they'll be taking the classes then together with people that they already know. And so that really enhances some of the discussions in class. But we went on this garden tour, and it was about this, I think it was called The Business of Gardens. And it was so interesting because it was the Royal Roads Gardener. We have a 600-acre, it's about 250-hectare campus here right on the waterfront. And it's this beautiful estate with some of the only old growth forest in the Victoria area that's still left. It was, most of the campus was never logged. And it's this beautiful property. And we were just talking, and it was very interesting, and hearing about how important nature is. Both there's the side of nature of, well, ultimately, of course, many industries, much of the products, I mean, they all come out of nature in some different way. And there's food industry and all these different things that are very directly connected. But there's also the piece of how does nature sort of enter into your sort of thinking in life? So if you're a manager, so most of the people in our program, the average age in the MBA program is about 40. So people have a lot of work experience. They often are managers within their organizations, provincial governments, companies, small companies, some big companies, local governments, different, sometimes people have their own business or family business. And so you come in, but you're a manager, and many people come from, they have a background that they don't necessarily have a university degree. They've moved up through their organizations, and they're managers within their organizations. And you realize how hard management is, and especially managing people, right? And that's a core sort of thing that we talk about in the program, but this managing people piece. And so it was interesting going with this group out into the gardens and out into nature, and just thinking about how there have been studies that show, and there's a lot of research on this, that it's not taking a break from your work, it's actually how you can work better. It's how you can solve problems, and being able to step out of a situation, being able to think in a different way. And that is something that comes, and there's a whole psychology. The gardener was also did a lot of work with psychology and other things as well, where there's the whole psychology around the colors, green being a calming color in the middle of the spectrum, the feel of the air, the feel of the wind, the things around you, seeing all the different leaves, and it your mind continues to work, and you're trying to solve that tricky problem with that employee at your organization, or in the case of the residencies and being here on campus, it's that your team has to present this presentation, you have to develop these ideas, you're having some discussions and disputes about what should be in the presentation, and just step outside. That's what's so nice about being on this campus, is being able to step outside and being able to go for a walk in the gardens, along the waterfront down there, along Charlie's Trail, which is along this salmon-bearing stream that comes right through campus. So, being able to just think in a different way. And I'm a bike commuter. I get that from bike commuting or being out in nature in different ways. But those are things that it's interesting how those things connect. So that's part of the ethos of our program and sort of thinking. So what are we? We're 51 credits. That means we have 14 classes, including this organizational management project. There are 2 streams. Happy to answer your questions about the 2 streams. We'll try to explain that. You can complete the program in approximately 18 months, or you can complete it in a longer term of about 31 months. And the main difference really between the 2 programs is the speed of the courses in terms of the online courses that you take. Everyone, no matter which intake you're in, comes in to do that first residency together. So you start the program online. The first couple of courses in the program, you do a writing, critical thinking, argument building course that will support you through your writing in the course. And then the second one is the accounting class, which really is not like, trying to make you an accountant or get you to go and do debits and credit. It's as a manager, being able to look at statements, budgets, statements for organizations and make sense of them and be able to make better management decisions based upon that. So you do those 2 classes online, then you come to campus and you do organizational behavior and you do leadership. Those are 2 courses that are very much focused on the internal operations of the organization, working with people, because that's one of the main challenges that people talk about. And they're also inward looking and working with you. What is your leadership style? And how are you going to bring that leadership style forward? So that's, into the online piece, you come into the residency, you work together with these 2 groups, and then you go into the online courses afterwards. And that's where, when you're in the 18-month program, you take a pair of online courses. So you take 2 online courses at a time. And then if you're in the 31-month, you take generally 1 online course. And that's why it just takes you a bit longer. You take exactly the same courses. It just takes you a bit longer with the 31-month option. It's been interesting since the pandemic, but especially, and I think just over time and people's busy lives, it used to be that most people did the 18-month. Now more people are sort of switching, and I'd say it's about even between the 18 and 31-month. And they're not exclusive. If you start with 18 months, it's not working for you, you can switch and go to the 31-month, because again, it's the same classes. It's just the speed at which you take the online classes that will happen. We have a new sort of what we call the full-time on-campus program. That's really integrated into our regular blended program in the sense that it's where you do your residency. You start the first residency with the rest of the students, but then you take some courses, instead of taking them online as the other students in the program are, you take them on campus. And most of those courses are with our students from our Master Global Management program who are full-time here on campus. And so this full-time on-campus program is designed in part for those students, say international students, who need to meet an on-campus requirement for the work authorization piece after the program. Then it meets those requirements by having these online courses. So a portion of the program is online and portion of it is on campus, but it meets the 50% requirement of the on-campus. What is our program about? So our program is really a lot of people that have a lot of work experience, average age 40. Again, people have 15, 20 years of work experience usually. So it's minimum of 7 years of work experience with some management and leadership experience within those 7 years. But it's for your cohort of people in the program will all have a significant amount of experience. And then it's you're working through the courses and through your own personal situation in life with these other set of experienced managers. But what's interesting is everyone brings their own sort of skills or areas. So some people in the program are IT specialists. Some people are HR specialists. Some people have more of a finance or accounting background. So people come from all the different sort of functional and skill areas within organizations and from government, from private companies, from nonprofits. And so you're going to be working in teams and working in classes and having discussions in your classes online with a group of experienced people. So this management and leadership skills are some of the core pieces. And I'm going to talk a little bit later, about some of the things that I've observed in terms of why people enter the program and what they're looking for, which is people come into a mid-career MBA program like this, a master's program, because they want to make a change. They want to make a change and they want to move up in their organization. They want to move horizontally from one organization to another organization, or they're thinking about something a bit different. So, there's a variety of reasons, but people are interested in making some change. So that's why that inner piece, that leadership piece, that sort of thinking through that change, talking with other people in the cohort, some of the coaching aspects, helping you make that change is very important. So our instructors have a lot of experience. We have, our program's been running for 20 years. A lot of the instructors have been with us for a long time, and they've taught quite a few times, but most of them are what we say associate faculty who come from industry, who come from outside, who are teaching because they love teaching and they really want to build in their own experience and tap into your own experience, your own knowledge, connections, networks, et cetera, and bring those into the classroom. So it definitely is a program for kind of mid-career people who want to be around other mid-career people. There's no one in the program that's right out of undergrad or only has a couple of years of work experience. Everyone has at least 7 years of work experience, and many people have more. As I said, with the 18-month versus 31-month, that's really around your own personal situation. People in the program have kids, they have families, they have work situations, they travel a lot. And, if it's really overwhelming, then people often say, well, I want to do the 31-month because it just slows things down a bit. It spreads things over a longer period of time. It gives me a bit more flexibility in some of the specializations and when I time that specialization and other things. But it just creates more space in a way in the program. 18 months is for people who and I can say you can do it. Busy people can get through. We have a lot of people, and if you look at some of the webinars that we've had, where we've had students and alumni, many of them said, there were definitely times I wasn't sure I could do it, but I stuck with it, and my classmates, my cohort, the structure of the program kept me moving forward, and I got it done. And it was so, rewarding that I got it done in 18 months. It was intense. My family would have killed me if it would have lasted long. I wanted to get it done. So you can choose. And if you start in 18 months, you find it too much, your job situation changes, your family situation changes, you can switch to 31 months or vice versa. 31 months, you can start and say, you know what, I want to get this done. I want to move forward with this. You can switch to the 18 months. So in that sense, you can kind of choose which version of the program to focus on. We do have an on-campus program option, as I said. In that option, you would do the blended start with the rest of the students. So one of the advantages, and some people ask, one of the questions is, well, Royal Roads, I see, has this Master Global Management program. It's on campus, it's a fully on-campus program. MBA program costs a bit more. Why would I choose MBA instead of MGM, the Global Management program? One of the main reasons is the network of people who are in the program. So the MGM program has a couple of years of work experience. It's primarily international students who are coming into Canada, often looking to immigrate, often looking to transition into the Canadian workforce and Canadian society. That's a very interesting, I teach in that program. My own area is international business and international economics, trade agreements, trade relationships. So I find that program and really interesting, and the groups of students very interesting. In the blended MBA program at Royal Roads, those are primarily established managers already in Canada, been in Canada a very long time, and so it's just a different network of people, and the people that you're taking the program with, it just has a different feel, and it's this blended program. So if you do the on-campus MBA, you kind of blend those two pieces, where you're doing some on-campus classes with the MGM students, and you're doing the blended portions and several of the online classes together with the MBA students. So you still will be in a cohort, you still will be going through the program, but you kind of get the best of both programs. Some of the sort of key elements of the program. Yeah, I'll talk to the MBA in GM dual degree. I think there's a slide. Maybe, let me go over this on program elements, and then I'll talk about the dual degree. So the program elements, some of the key things that really stand out in the program and that work in the program. One is this organizational management project. Everyone in the program does what an OMP, and that is an applied project that you do as a research project in a set of courses in the program, and that you're doing for an organization. Could be the organization where you work. It can be another organization that you identify. So you identify a problem, a situation, something, a research piece that you can do for that organization, and build that into your OMP project. So it's an applied project with an organization. As I say, sometimes it's your own organization. So we work with you on that. You'll have supervisors, you'll have courses where you're working up your problem statement, figuring out who you're going to, what organization you're going to work with, and building those relationships. So through the program, and what this does is give you really strong research skills, and being able to use your research skills in this applied way on this project for an organization. Another one is with this live business challenge. So we have 2 live business challenges in the program. One is in the first residency. In the leadership class, we have an organization come in and talk about their organization, the different aspects of it, and then how you would address from a leadership framework some of the different business components. Then in your final residency, that's really built around a live case, sort of live business case challenge. 2 companies come in, they make a presentation to the class. You then work as a team, kind of as consultants, doing an internal and external analysis of that organization, and then preparing reports with recommendations back to the leadership of that organization at the end of that residency. So that really is the whole second residency is built around this capstone sort of leadership challenge case. I mean, throughout the program, then other courses, many of these are standard within MBA programs. Some of them, as I say, we probably put more focus on this kind of aspects of organizational behavior, change management, leadership, the internal kind of aspects of leading people in organizations. We do have finance, operations, accounting. Those are areas that get covered as well. And then you do this sort of specialization area, and I'll talk about those in a minute. I think there's a slide, but just to address the question about the MBA MGM degree, dual degree. So basically what you do in the MBA MGM dual degree is you do one of the 2 programs first. So you do basically all the elements of the MBA or the MGM program. And then there's certain courses, there's about 6 courses that you would do. So if you do MBA first, and once you finished MBA, oh, there we go. We have a slide. So once you've finished MBA, then you can take a break. You can come back a year later, 2 years later, or you can slide over and you start taking MGM classes. And there's 6 classes that you would take in the MGM program to complete your dual degree. And those are 6 classes, like a class on intercultural management. Well, that's not a class that we have in MBA, but it's a class in MGM. And there's several other sort of internationally oriented classes in MGM that don't. So accounting is too similar to accounting, right? Finance is too similar to finance. But some of the other classes, there's a class on, I believe, on international ethics, for example. So those are courses that are in MGM, but not MBA. You would do those unique classes in MGM, and then that allows you to get the dual degree. So basically, do one program, If you're in MGM or you do MGM first, then you'll just come and take a select set of MBA classes. And we can explain to you, someone can explain, which of the classes that you would do from each program in order to complete it. So, or the 6 additional MGM classes online or on campus. There's a bit of a mix because I think you do some of the MGM classes. So there's a international residency where they go abroad. And so you do a couple of the classes through that international residency. So, okay. MBA specialization. So this is a key thing. This is one of the questions people have. And one of the things that we've worked to really kind of open up and allow you to have quite a bit of choice. So we have 3 specializations within the program, and I'll talk about those in just a second. Or you can do a graduate certificate at Royal Roads, any of the graduate certificates at Royal Roads. And there's almost 30 graduate certificates at Royal Roads. I'll show you some examples of those. That graduate certificate, if you already have a graduate certificate from Royal Roads, you can bring those 9 credits that you already have into the program. You've already done your specialization. That's 3 fewer classes that you have to take in our MBA, that you have to pay for in our MBA. So if you already have a graduate certificate or a master's program, any of the other RRU master's programs, you can bring those credits into the MBA program and receive recognition for those in the program. So some of the examples. So within the MBA program, these are 3 graduate certificates that we have designed and MBA faculty teach. One is management consulting. So management consulting is a very popular specialization option within the program. And so we're very closely aligned with what's the Certified Management Consulting, CMC, designation in Canada, and it's a global designation, so that when you take the classes in the management consulting stream, which are 2 classes, then you would get credit for those for the educational hours that you need for your professional certification as a management consultant from Management Consulting Canada. So it's a professionally oriented certification that you receive, but you do the education components through this management consulting. So we've had, this is why I say RRU is the #1 CMC partner, and that is because more students have gone from Royal Roads to get their certified management consulting designation in Canada than from any other university. And it speaks to, in part, who's in the program. So a lot of people are interested in this because you've been working for 20 years and you're interested in diversifying or moving out of your current role and doing some management consulting work. And so people look at this specialization as a pathway to help them. You already have probably a lot of consulting experience and work. That's part of the professional designation. The education component's another part. And then fully meeting the aspects of becoming a certified management consultant, which then gives you that credential that you can use when you go out to establish your consulting work. In terms of the leadership, then leadership builds off of, everyone takes 1 leadership class in the program, right, in the first residency of the program, and then building from that, you can go on and do a couple of more classes. One is on kind of diversity leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We know is one of the key topics in leadership. Another one of the classes is really around emotional intelligence and leadership. And so the leadership piece is a lot on understanding yourself as a person, understanding your own leadership qualities and how you want to then exhibit those leadership qualities within whatever settings in your organization, in boards that you may sit on or other organizations that you work with. How do you want to present your leadership in the world? And as Emara said, we're a change-making campus, and so some of that comes into something like the leadership specialization. Then there's the international specialization. So this Saturday, I'm off to Asia for 2 weeks with the students who are doing the Asia Pacific Trade and Investment specialization in the program. So that's generally for the January intake. Although, as I say, this is one area that the 31-month people, because you have a bit more space within your schedule, it's a little easier for you to schedule. So this option is always offered from the classes start in February and go until April. And in March, we go to Asia for a couple of weeks. So it generally lines up with the people who are starting in the January intake. It lines up with their specialization option. But so in that, we do a couple of classes. We do online class sessions. We've done 4 weeks now of online classes on sort of Asian economic development, key issues in Asia Pacific. And now we're going to spend a week in Tokyo, and then we're going to spend a week in Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. And we're doing, every day going to visit companies, getting briefings from the embassy, from the Trade Commissioner Service. So that's my own passion project. I have an Asia Pacific background and love taking student groups abroad and really embedding you and just having those discussions. And people really like that because, it's a small group of people. We have 9 people going on this, and you're able to go as a group and we have dinners together. We go on these meetings, we debrief together, we talk. So it's a really interesting option. Another option is, and this generally aligns with the summer fall intake, which is we've had this long partnership with the Grenoble School of Management in France. And so you go for 2 weeks to the Grenoble School of Management in southern France, just south of Lyon, and you there look at innovation policy. And there's a lot of really innovative technology companies that are in Grenoble. It's very interesting. And so you go and do some site visits and then do some classroom work on the European Union structure and policies and issues, and then on innovation policy within Europe and within European companies. So those are sort of the specializations that are offered within the program. Just to jump over, Mark had asked the question about the residencies that are on campus. Are they full-time hours? Yes, generally they are full-time hours. I think that was the response. We just had the students here in part because, they become very full-time because you may have classes during the day with some open spaces occasionally within those classes, but those are times that your team, because you have a number of presentations that you make, you have a number of assignments and things that you're working on within the cohort, within your team, for you individually as you're in that residency. So there's a lot of work. And so if you live local, you have to come and stay in the dorms. Well, our dorms are pretty basic, but a lot of people like being here because you're doing a lot of work in the evenings with your team and you're on this beautiful campus. You don't have to. And people who are coming from outside stay in Airbnbs and other things as well. But it's pretty full on. We say it's like going to camp for 2 weeks. So it's pretty full on for those 2 weeks while you're on campus. But that's what you want. You want to make it a meaningful, it's the bonding experience, it's getting to know your classmates, working with them on problems, and really diving into that. So it's something that people really enjoy. And again, look at some of the webinars, or we can connect you with alumni and just talk to them about their experience. It's something people say, I wanted to do this program because it's different. I don't want to do a fully online program. And I can say there's something that's kind of appealing about fully online programs, especially those that you start looking at like, wow, it's asynchronous and I can time it, I can take different times and take different classes at different times. But honestly, you get into it, it's like taking some LinkedIn learning class that you don't get to know people, you don't build a cohort, you don't build a network of people, you don't interact, you don't get all the feedback and rich sort of interactions that you have with other people. And that's part of why, we've really kept the residencies, and the residencies are important because it's how you really get to know the other people. And when you go back into the online environment, you are working with people that you've been in residency with. And so you know them. You can easily have discussions. You're working in teams together online, learning those skills of distributed teamwork. It's so important now. And you're doing it with people that you've met, you've built some trust, some relationships, and work together face to face, allowing you to carry that over. And you can just see it. You can see it in how people interact. The classes all have their own WhatsApp and Slack and whatever groups that they're all having conversations on the side. and then you're in those online classes in an experience that's much richer and much different than, you don't want to go back to school so that you can just, it's not like, here's the 5 things you know to be a better leader. Well, if it's that easy, read a book, watch the Khan Academy video, you'll learn something, but does it really, is it really building that experience that you want? You're going back to school because you want to make a change for yourself. Okay, MBA specializations. So graduate certificates. So all the Royal Roads graduate certificates, there's over 20 of them, are available to you. Many of them have, like our management consulting one that we offer through the MBA program, have affiliations with professional credentials. These are a bit different. They're offered by our professional studies department at Royal Roads. So they're not offered directly out of our program, the School of Business department. They bring in students from other Royal Roads programs and from outside Royal Roads. So we have project management or change management or executive coaching. I did the graduate certificate in executive coaching at Royal Roads and got my certification with the International Coach Federation. So it was a great program. It also was a cohort-based. All of these are cohort-based programs where you take a series of 3 classes. Most of them are offered online now. Some of them are offered where you can do a short residency, but most of them are online programs. And so there's a whole another range of them in things like, I think there's I don't have the slide here, but things in the environment field. So if you want to lean into that. So some of them are offered by other departments. We have an environment school at Royal Roads. We have a professional communication school. So they offer courses and graduate certificates that you can take in professional communications or in climate adaptation and leadership. So, that's something that you can take at Royal Roads and then use those credits either. So it can be before you start the MBA. So maybe you're out there, you're thinking, I'm not sure if I'm ready to go back. So I will say that's the biggest challenge people face, is that they've been out of school a long time, or they haven't ever done their university undergraduate degree. Maybe you've been to college, you've done lots of training, you already have your project management certification, you've done all these other training over time, but you're not sure you're ready to jump into the MBA. Do a graduate certificate. You can do any of these graduate certificates with Royal Roads before you start the MBA, and then bring those credits into the program. Another one is, while you're in the MBA, you can do one of those while you're going through the program. And I will say, partly because you build up these bonds in the cohort, partly because of timing and the way that it works, most people end up doing those ones that I mentioned for the MBA program. So management consulting, leadership, or one of the international ones. And you're in that program primarily with the people who are all doing the MBA in your cohort. So most people do it during the MBA while they're in the cohort. You can come back if you say, wow, Asia sounds so cool, and I want to do management consulting. How can I do that? Well, it's often that, okay, after you finish your MBA, we say, come back. I have 3 alumni who are going to Asia with me, right? So they wanted to go to Asia. Partly the pandemics messed things up. We couldn't go for a couple of years. They did another one of the graduate certificates or specialization options, and then they came back, and now they're doing that. So I'm sort of recruiting people now to go on the Grenoble program this fall. So looking to alumni, seeing if anyone wants to jump in and go do that program. And as I say, sometimes it's people who did the program before and they had so much fun, they're going back. And sometimes it's alumni who said, I did management consulting or I did leadership, and now I want to be able to go to Grenoble. My classmates told me how much fun it was, how interesting, how much they learned. So therefore they want to go and do it. When do you choose your specialist? Good topic before we get off specializations. You choose your specialization you nominally choose, so your specialization, even in the 18-month program, doesn't start for 1 year after you start the program. So it's an 18-month program. The specialization comes towards the end of the program, right? It's the last set of classes you do before you come back for the second residency. So you would do your specialization about a year in. About 6 months in, you have to let us know which one you think you're going to do. That's partly for planning purposes. So we know how many people are going to Asia. We know how many people want to do leadership, and then we can plan around that. So you can make a change, right? Like if you decide, I said Asia, but now I want to switch to leadership, you have some flexibility to make that change. So you choose, most students who haven't done a graduate certificate before choose while they're in the program. Jessica, are there exams? Don't worry. No exams. We got rid of exams. So part of that was because a lot of these classes are online. If you've ever taken online exams, everyone hates it. That thing where if you move your eyes, red lights start flashing, and then the proctor comes on and says, "What are you doing? Show me under your desk. Do you have notes?" Everyone hates that whole experience. So therefore, we went to all project-based learning. And as I say, a lot of the projects are around, okay, take this concept, take this in change management, think about your organization or a situation that you've been in. Now let's analyze that, take these theories and concepts about change management and break down that situation that you've observed or you know about or that your organization is going through, and then apply these concepts to that. So, that just doesn't lend itself well to a test. That's a project-based. That's what almost every class is built around, not just a project, but a project that relates, you get to choose, like relate it to your organization. Or maybe you want to change industries or change organizations. And so maybe you say, I want to transition out of this organization I'm in. And so maybe I'll do my OMP, or I'll do some of my investigations and my courses on other organizations, right? So I think those things are ways that you can transition as well. Okay, what is the cost of doing the graduate certificate during the MBA program? It's like taking classes within the MBA program. What time of the day are the courses offered in the online? Mostly evenings, yes. Okay, I see. Tracy is answering all of my questions as well. What is the average cohort? So many good questions. This is good. Get us off the regular script here. The average cohort size, I would say 25 to 35 is the average cohort size. And so if we get more than that, we usually break people into two cohorts in a way, right? So that you don't have too many people in your class. What industry? So I say this is a generalist program. If you want to be a finance expert and you want to go work in a big bank and finance in Toronto, this isn't your program. If you work for a credit union in Manitoba and you're a manager of a branch, or you're a manager of a unit, or you work in the provincial government or the local government and you're managing a department, you work for BC Hydro, you work for your own family company and you're managing the whole company or managing a division, these are different styles. TELUS, a whole range of people coming from WestJet. We've had a number of people, coming from different industries, coming from different sectors, and different role functions. So again, it's a generalist program. So it's not focused on HR. It's not focused on IT. It's not focused on, just strategy. It's not focused on any one area. It is a broad-based program. And that everyone says at the end is the strength, because now they know, had they're in HR over at Herschel and they can call when they have, I'm an IT person, but I'm dealing with this HR situation and I know someone that I can contact who is on my team. We worked together, we got to know each other, we built a good relationship. And now I know someone in HR, and I know someone who knows accounting stuff, and I know someone who knows how to handle marketing. So that's the benefit, is having that really diverse sort of set of people. Okay, I'm just going to very briefly go over some of this. This is work that I've done, and this is something that came out of, as I said, I did the executive coaching program at Royal Roads, And then I got into what's called Design Your Life, which is a subset of executive coaching. And it's thinking about how we can use design thinking. And it's a concept, design thinking and design thinking approach is something that we try to model and build into the program. That is thinking of multiple options. Don't get stuck on a solution right from the start, thinking of different ways to solve problems. Then prototyping, trying out little steps with that, and getting feedback, doing feedback loops, all of these different pieces, how to apply design thinking to different situations. We also use that, you can use that in life planning in the sense that, okay, you guys, as I say, how did I come into this? I came into this because people in the program are coming because they want to make a change in their lives. They're not sure always what that exact change, they just have a sense that they're at that cusp of they want to make that change. So a lot of what happens in the program, both partially intentionally and partly unintentionally, in the sense that you're going to have these conversations with your classmates who are in a similar situation and start to work through and think through and what different opportunities. And, I don't have the statistic, but I would say, we always ask at the last residency, how many people made a change in their role, in their organization or to another organization while you were in the program. And it's over half the people, right? Lots of people make changes while they're in the program. So being able to reflect, to think, to experiment, to evolve is a key piece within the program. So I won't go into all of these, but this is, applying design thinking in many ways to your life. And I'm going to show you some references to some books in a minute, thinking about those. A couple of things that come out of that is you don't have to know where you're going. People often think, oh, you should do what is your passion? What have you always wanted to do? And I can say from experience, I could give you 5 things. I'm interested in a lot of different things. I'm not sure what I want to do, right? You don't have to know what your passion is, but what design thinking helps you do, and what our program helps you do, is take little steps, prototype, try things out, think about things in a new way, talk to your classmates, talk to people, within your network, explore things. Being a student coming back to school helps you understand this piece, understand that life is a journey and it's constantly evolving. And so you want to get unstuck. Don't get stuck on one solution or one idea or one situation. You always want to be prepared to evolve forward in what you're doing. So a couple of the books, and I've been in a number of training things with these guys, Dave Evans, Bill Burnett, who wrote these books, and comes out of the Stanford Life Design Lab. You may find these books interesting. The Designing Your Life was the original one. Then they sort of wrote this new book, pandemic, post-pandemic, called Designing Your New Work Life. Lots of little tidbits in there, like redesign, don't resign. It's hard to find a job when you don't have a job. So think about how you can redesign your current job towards something that's more appealing to you. Okay, I have to turn it over. I promised Emara, leave you enough time. Emara, how do you apply for this program?
Thank you, Charles, and thank you for handing it over. I always enjoy hearing you talk about the program and about design thinking. So how to apply? And I saw a question in the chat there for admission, is management experience required? And it is required. So for our standard admission, so we have standard and flexible admission, but for our standard, you do need the completion of a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree in a related field. You normally need at least 7 years of full-time relevant work experience with 3 years at a management level with increasing levels of responsibility. And for the flexible admission, because we do have a lot of people that join the MBA program that may not have an undergraduate degree. And that's what I meant earlier when I said that people come from lots of different backgrounds and experience. But to be considered for flexible admission, applicants would normally require approximately 10 years of full-time business-related work experience and being able to demonstrate increasing levels of responsibility and a combination of post-secondary professional accredited qualifications. And I also wanted to mention that you don't have to select whether or not you're coming through the program through standard or flexible admission. That's not something that you determine on your end. So when you want to apply, I should talk about additional courses first. So there are courses that may be a condition to admission into Royal Roads. So if you're taking this course as a condition to admission, you do want to make sure you take the course a minimum of 5 weeks prior to your program start date. And those courses are either financial accounting and academic writing and critical thinking. And we really recommend, if you haven't been in school for a while or you haven't been in kind of a formal education in post-secondary, we do recommend academic writing and critical thinking. It really helps you kind of remember what it's like and get started again before you join the program. And we also have a language requirement. So English is the primary language of instruction at Royal Roads University. So if your primary language is not English, you must meet our English language requirement through one of 3 ways. So either the submission of an official language proficiency score, graduation from a college or university at which English was the primary language of instruction in an English-speaking country, or completion of a pathway program through the Global Learning and Language Center at Royal Roads University. And I know Tracy is popping different links in the chat there with more information about the different things we're chatting about right now. And everything is on the website. So I know I'm moving quickly, but that's because our session ends in a few minutes and I want to make sure to share all the information I can with you, but it is also all on our website. So these are some important dates. These are key dates. I know we had some questions between the 18 and 31 month blended options. The good news is the application start dates are the same. So the start date for the next intake is July 17th, 2023, and you need to apply by April 17th, 2023. You don't have to wait for the application deadline. You can apply now. That's just the deadline. And we have rolling admission. So we will admit you as we see applications. And we also have another intake that starts in January with an application deadline of October. And if you're interested in the on-campus 18-month program, it starts in July and the application deadline, I can't see that part of my screen. Oh, it's also April. Great. So how to apply? You do want to apply on our website. There's a small application fee. And when you're applying, there are some different supporting documents that you need to submit. So you need some official transcripts of any past post-secondary education. You're going to be submitting a detailed resume. And we outline this on our website. So if you look on our website for how to apply and the supporting documents you need, we outline it on our website. And I recently applied for a program and I treated the application like an assignment. I used it like a checklist. So I made sure I had my online, my transcripts completed. I had a detailed resume that I followed exactly what was required. The personal statement of intent is actually my favorite part of an application. That's where you really examine your why. Why are you applying for this program? What do you hope to get out of the program? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years and more? And that is usually about a 2 to 3 page essay that you'll be submitting as part of your application package. A writing sample may be required, and you will also need 2 letters of reference, and those can be professional and academic. We also have financial aid and awards. We understand that education is a big investment. It's a worthy investment, but it's a big investment. So now is a good time to start looking on our website to see the different awards and resources that are available. You can set up a one-on-one appointment with one of our financial aid and award specialists, and they can help you kind of determine what would be the good fit for you and if there's any eligible awards that you could apply for. And we're here to support you. I know this was a session that we went over a lot, but if you want a one-on-one session, I know Tracy popped her email in the chat there. You can reach out directly to Tracy, or you can connect with us at learn.more@royalroads.ca. We can help answer any questions. We can set up a virtual appointment with you. We're really here to support. And I know we have a few minutes left, but are there any questions? And I have a quick poll. So if you can have a look at the screen here, and please fill out this quick poll. And the question I'm asking is, did we answer everything you were hoping to learn from today's session? Yes, no, and if you said no, please pop your question in the chat because we want to make sure that we're answering all the questions. Wow. Okay. So far, I have a good score. I think I have an A plus. Hear that, Charles? We have 100% of people said yes. We answered all their questions. Great job, Tracy. Great job, Charles. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now before anybody votes no. All right. Perfect. And Charles, I know you had an eye on the chat. Is there any questions or anything that you'd like to address that came through that you haven't been able to answer?
Yeah, I was just trying to, to address someone, Peter asked about accreditation. I mean, accreditation, so there's the sort of Royal Roads, and as a university, we're a BC provincial university, like UBC, we're part of the Research University Council, like UVic, UBC, UNBC, et cetera. And so we're within that group. Then there are these, I don't know if you mean, but there are these business accreditations, and I mentioned AACSB, which is sort of the big group, and many business schools will say, oh, this is, a very high level accreditation, but that's primarily based upon the faculty and what the faculty publish in these journals, and it's an academic accreditation, not like a professional accreditation. So it's focused on that. And so because many of our associate faculty, for example, are coming in from their work experience, from their work lives, then they're not publishing in academic journals. That's not their focus area. So that accreditation piece is one question that comes up. Then there's always the questions about who's in the program, what do they go on to after the program. So one is, so everyone in the program is already working, typically, other than the on-campus people who have left a career and then coming to the on-campus program perhaps. But the people who are in the blended program, they're all working full time. And so they're working across, as I say, across different fields. It's a fairly balanced cohort in terms of the gender makeup. It, trends towards Western Canada, but we have people in every cohort that come from all the way across Canada, and a few from internationally. We have a number of people out of military, professional RCMP and other professional services. And then we have, people from companies, large and small, nonprofits, et cetera. It's really quite a generalized group. And that's what I find really interesting. I find the geographic dispersion really interesting. And I find the just range of companies, organizations, and so therefore interesting situations. Hadn't thought about, oh, you work for the Nuclear Regulatory Agency. Okay, well, how do some of these topics apply there compared to apply within TD Bank or within an airline or BC Hydro or whoever the different places that people may work. So
thanks, Charles. And I know we're at the end of today's session, and I want to thank everybody for joining us, and thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Charles, for answering all these questions. Charles, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any final words of advice to the people in the room today? And then we'll wrap up the session.
No, I mean, just reach out and we can connect you with some of the other webinars, as I say, have students or alumni in them. You can see those and see their experience. Or if you're interested, and we can try to connect you with current students or alumni, because that's often where we find people often like to connect with people who are already in the program or who have taken the program. They can tell you much more, work-life balance. How did you do it? What was your support? How did you get funding? People who are in the program are the best to talk to about some of those things too. So.
Great,
All right.
thank you. Okay, well, we are here if anybody has any questions, and thank you all for joining us today. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day today. Take care and bye for now.